Namma Bengaluru, a city with many monikers. The Garden City, the Silicon Valley of India, the pub capital of India. These are just some of the names this vibrant city is known by. But beneath all this, there is a secret. Bengaluru has a rich, ancient past. Founded in 1537 as a fort built by Kempe Gowda, Bengaluru is older than cities like Hyderabad, Chennai and Mumbai. And the best part is, you and I can walk down these streets today. The echoes of the past are everywhere. Prepare for a journey back in time as we rediscover Bengaluru's forgotten history. Bengaluru and its surrounding areas are rich in archaeological heritage, and exploring it all is beyond the scope of this program. In this episode, we will focus on the archaeological evidence uncovered within the modern limits of Bengaluru, with a few notable exceptions. How Bengaluru got its name comes from a legend. Back in the 12th century, a king was on a hunting spree and he lost his way. Exhausted, he came across a hut occupied by an old lady. Now, the old lady, as per local customs, offered the king a little bit of boiled beans, Benda-kalu in Kannada. The grateful king remembered this area as Benda-kalu-Uru, or the place of the boiled beans. Over time, of course, the name evolved to Bengaluru. This legend is set in the 12th century. That was when the Hoysala Empire was ruling this area. And the grateful king is said to be Veerabalala II. However, the archaeological findings from Bengaluru and the surrounding areas tell a very different story. This is the Lalbagh Peninsula gneiss, also known as the Lalbagh Rock, which is around 3 billion years old. Okay, maybe that was too far back. But there are some incredible archaeological treasures here at the Lalbagh Botanical Garden, which we will explore shortly. Numerous dolmens, obelisks, and burial sites have been discovered in and around Bengaluru. One notable discovery within Bengaluru was in Jalahalli, where stone tools dating back to about 1000 BC were found. Not too far from here, in Chikkajala, burial grounds dating back to 1000 BC were discovered. Now, as per the archaeological records, the burial sites were at the foot of this hill, the Akayaman Hill. Unfortunately, we have lost it. The locals don't know where they are. They just say they found a lot of boulders here, stones here that they probably used in the construction of various structures around this area. Plus, the rapid urbanization and the presence of stone quarries means we may have lost the burial sites and perhaps other historical treasures forever. We see something similar at the Lalbagh Botanical Garden. Behind me is one of the watchtowers constructed by KempeGowda II. There are supposed to be 4 of these towers, but realistically there could be more. These towers were said to mark the limits of Bengaluru. Well, today we have expanded way past these limits. It is believed that an ancient burial ground once lay to the east of the Lalbagh Rock. Sadly, no traces of it remain today. Only visible scars of stone quarrying. In 1891, while laying down the railway line near Yeshwantpur, 163 Roman coins were discovered. These included issues of Emperors Augustus, Tiberius and Claudius, dating between 23 BCE and 53 CE. Later in 1965, 256 Roman coins of Emperors Augustus and Tiberius were discovered at the HAL airport during the construction of the runway. These discoveries suggest that the inhabitants of this region were engaged in trade with the Romans. Another source of Bengaluru's history are inscriptions and Virakals. Virakals or hero stones are memorials that honor the death of a hero, be it in battle or otherwise. So we are at the northern base of the Lalbagh rock. There is a Virakal depicting a warrior accompanied by a woman. There is another Virakal near the bandstand. Now this is a much more elaborate Virakal. It's got two tiers. Right on top here is Shiva, the Shivalingam and the Nandi bull. And down here is probably a royal couple. And next to them are their attendants. Unfortunately, there are no inscriptions telling us about what battle or what incident is being immortalized here. So we can only speculate what this is. Based on their hairdos, dress and weapons, experts suggest that this is from the Vijayanagar period. Perhaps the most important and iconic Virakal is the Hebbal-Kittayya Virakal, dating back to 750 CE. Now this Virakal is one of the oldest intact Kannada inscription found in Bengaluru. The hero stone shows a figure standing proudly, holding a bow in one hand and a knife in another. Despite being struck by spears and arrows, he faces an opponent who seems to be kneeling on horseback. The inscription tells us that Kittayya died while defending Hebbal from the Rashtrakutas. The Rashtrakutas intended on razing Hebbal to the ground, what is known as Urualivu. Back in 750 CE, the area was under the Western Ganga dynasty. Sri Purusha was a king then. Parbolal Nadu was the old name for Hebbal. So Hebbal 30 meant that Hebbal was the provincial head of 30 nearby towns and villages. And Ratavadi meant Rashtrakutas. It is only fitting that the Hebbal-Kittayya inscription is now preserved in a crowd-funded mandapa built in the Ganga architectural style. There are numerous Virakals and inscriptions scattered in and around Bengaluru. This interactive map marks the locations of these stones, including those that have been lost or destroyed. Some of the Virakals and inscriptions are on display at the Government Museum. While others can be found in temples and in unexpected places like residential areas. In 1004 CE, the Chorans captured Bengaluru and the surrounding areas from the Ganga dynasty. The Chorans left a mark that's still visible today. Well, kind of. The Garbhagraha or the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Domulur Sokanatha Swami temple and the Halasuru Someshwara temple was built by the Chorans. Over the years, these temples have been renovated and expanded to what we see today. After the Chorans, the Hoysala kingdom took control of the area, which goes back to Veerabalala II, the grateful Hoysala king who named the area Benda-kalu-Uru. In Begur, there is archaeological evidence that challenges this legend. The Panchalingeshwara temple at Begur, also known as the Sri Panchalinga Nageshwara temple or just Nageshwar temple. In the courtyard are various Virakals and inscriptions. This inscription, dating back to 890 CE, is the oldest known archaeological reference to Bengaluru. Written in Hale Kannada or Old Kannada, this inscription records the deaths of Bhutanapati and Parvan Sethi at the Battle of Bengaluru. Bengaluru here may be referring to Hale Bengaluru or Old Bengaluru, a settlement near Kodigehalli. To trace the origins of the modern city of Bengaluru, we must fast forward to the 15th century, when 7 farmers and their families from the Morasu Vokkaliga or the Morasu clan fled the village of Allur near Kanchipuram. They made their way to the foot of the Nandi Hills, where the clan leader, Rana Beire Gowda, was directed in a dream to settle in the region. The 7 families built huts and formed the village of Ahuti, what is today known as Avati. Rana Beire Gowda remained at Avati, while his son Malla Beire Gowda went on to establish Devanahalli, Doddaballapura and Chikkaballapura. The other 6 farmers went on to settle in the nearby areas, the most notable being Jaya Gowda, who established himself at Yelehanka and acquired the title Yelehanka Nadaprabhus, meaning the Lord of Yelehanka. Yelehanka had a fort too, and there are only a few structures that remind us of it. Take for example this temple. This is the Kote Anjaneya temple. The Kote Anjaneya temple has been renovated, but there are a few original stones that are still here. Another remnant from the Yelehanka fort is this temple. This is the Sri Venugopala Swami temple. Also, the street I was on and I'm walking on is the remnant of the Yelehanka fort. This is called the Kote Street or the Fort Street. Yelehanka was a feudatory of the Vijayanagar Empire. Jaya Gowda was succeeded by Kempe Gowda, Kempananja Gowda and Kempe Gowda. The name Kempe Gowda is familiar to anyone who has visited Bengaluru. After all, the airport, a bus station and various institutions are named after him. You'll also find multiple statues of him across the city. Local legends tell us that Bengaluru was built on a site where during a hunting trip, Kempe Gowda rested under a tree and witnessed a hare chasing a hound. He thought the place was auspicious, the land of the brave or Gandhbhumi. Kempe Gowda sought permission from Achyuta Deva Raya, the emperor of the Vijayanagar Empire, to build a mud fort. The permission was granted, and in 1537, a mud fort was constructed. This mud fort was Bengaluru. Of course, on a more realistic note, Bengaluru's strategic location at the intersection of key trade routes such as the Madras-Baktal route that ran from east to west and the Chitradurga-Dharmapuri route that ran from north to south made it an ideal spot to establish a new city. Few modern cities can point to a spot and say, that's where the city began, that is where it all began. Well, this intersection is that spot. And right here is where Bengaluru began. On an auspicious day in 1537 CE, Kempe Gowda had 4 pairs of white oxen plough the ground in the 4 cardinal directions. Wherever the oxen rested, he built gates, and the path they took became the city's main roads. These streets still exist today. Doddapete, the street running north to south, is the Avenue Road, while Chikkpete, the street running east to west, is the Old Taluk Kacheri Road. Recognizing that a thriving trade was essential for a city's growth, a call was made for traders and other craftsmen to move into the city. Slowly, new roads were developed and various petes emerged, each focused on a specific trade or industry. For example, Nagarat Pete was where you go to buy steel and brass vessels. Kumbarpete was where you go to buy clay pots. Balepete was where you go to buy bangles. So what was Bengaluru with its mud walls like? This is the Begur Fort, an example of a mud fort. So here are the remnants of a mud fort. Not much is left really, except for a temple and a few other stone structures. Some structures are yet to be excavated. Although the mud wall is now being taken over by undergrowth and weeds, this is what it looks like underneath all that. It's an actual mud wall. There is an inscription at the gateway dating back to 900 CE, which means the fort was built over 1,000 years ago when the area was under the Western Ganga dynasty. Now, there is one thing that doesn't make sense. Clearly, stone was used in the construction of the temple and also of the entrance over here. So, why settle for mud walls? It turns out that originally the Begur Fort wall was made of stone slabs with mud filling in the middle. Over the years, the stones were taken away for other projects, leaving behind only the inner mud layer we see today. So more realistically, the Bengaluru fort was not a mud fort like this, but rather a fort made of mud bricks, a more durable material. Back in Bengaluru, things were not going smoothly. In the junction stood the southern gate, the Anekal gate. The southern gate of the mud fort has a tragic story attached to it. This memorial, located in Koramangala, is dedicated to Lakshmamma, the daughter-in-law of Kempe Gowda. So here we are at the memorial of Lakshmamma, who was the daughter-in-law of Kempe Gowda. So the southern gate wouldn't stand after being constructed, and Kempe Gowda was getting a little frustrated about it. So when he had contacted the astrologers, they said a human sacrifice would be required. Of course, Kempe Gowda was not happy about it, and one day, it so happened that the workers went back to the site to reconstruct the southern gate, and this gate didn't fall. But next to the intact gate was her body. She had apparently said a prayer to the local deities and committed suicide. A distraught Kempe Gowda is said to have built a temple in Lakshmamma's name. I spoke to some people who were at the memorial, and they suggested that the Lakshmamma Memorial Temple is the Mahalakshmi Temple around the corner. Let's check it out. So that's the Mahalakshmi Temple over here, and unfortunately it's closed. I spoke to the locals here, but they said there's no such temple built in the name of Lakshmamma Devi over here. Despite the tragedy, the gate does not stand today. After Kempe Gowda, Kempe Gowda II ruled over Bengaluru. In 1638, the Sultanate of Bijapur under Muhammad Adil Shah launched a campaign to expand their influence in the Deccan. He sent his commander Ranadullah Khan and his deputy Shahji Bhosale. They defeated Kempe Gowda II and captured Bengaluru. The famous Mohan building. Now, although the building says 1909, the history of the spot goes way back. Local legend states that Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's father, Shahji, he was a Jagir here in Bengaluru, and he lived in a place called Gauri Mahal, which was said to be on this very spot. After Shahji's death in 1664, his son Ekoji took over Bengaluru. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj is said to have visited Bangalore when he was 12 years old, and some sources even claim he got married here. In 1687, Ekoji offered to sell Bengaluru to Chikkadeva Raja Wodeyar of Mysore for rupees 3 lakhs. During negotiations, the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb sent his general Qasim Khan to seize Bengaluru. While the Marathas planned to retaliate, Chikkadeva Raja aligned with the Mughals and fought alongside them. Eventually, the Mughals ended up selling Bengaluru to Chikkadeva Raja Wodeyar for the previously agreed price of rupees 3 lakhs. Chikkadeva Wodeyar is said to have constructed the oval fort south of the Pete. He is also said to have constructed the Venkataramana temple. The 1700s were a turbulent time for Mysore. After the death of Chikkadeva Wodeyar, the kings of Mysore were weak and allowed their power to slip to the Dalvois, or the commander-in-chief. One such Dalvoi was Haider Ali. In recognition to Haider Ali's keen military genius, due to which the Mysore army won multiple wars, Haider Ali received Bengaluru as a personal Jagir in 1759. He was also granted the title of Nawab Haider Ali Khan. Using his influence, in 1761, Haider Ali became the de facto ruler of Mysore. By the 1700s, gunpowder played a prominent role in warfare, prompting military structures to adapt accordingly. This is one of the reasons why the mud forts like Bengaluru were being replaced with stone. In 1761, Haider Ali took on the monumental task of reconstructing the Bengaluru fort in stone. Ibrahim Khan, who was the Kiladar or the commander of the fort, was entrusted to oversee the project. He is also said to have set up cannon and gun foundries in Bengaluru. So when Haider Ali reconstructed the fort in stone, he noticed that there were 3 workers who never accepted wages. So he asked his Kiladar Ibrahim Khan to follow them and investigate. Ibrahim Khan followed them to the mosque in Kumbarpete, and when he entered the mosque, he found that the 3 men disappeared, leaving their shoes behind. Ibrahim Khan went back to Haider Ali and explained that the 3 men were Sufis. Sufis were traveling Islamic ascetics who settled in communities far away from their own. They were spiritual teachers who advocated for peace but would take up swords when necessary. The next day, when Haider Ali spoke to the 3 men, they only requested him to build a mosque in Cottonpete. Work on the structure began in 1777 CE and was completed by his son Tipu Sultan in 1783 CE. So, who were the 3 men? Hazrat Tipu Mastan, Hazrat Manik Mastan, and Hazrat Tawakkul Mastan. 2 of the 3 men are buried here in Namma Bengaluru. Hazrat Manik Mastan is buried on a shrine on Avenue Road, and Hazrat Tawakkul Mastan is buried on the old Taluk Kacheri Road. Here, just outside the reconstructed Kumbarpete Mosque, is the tomb of Ibrahim Khan. In 1791, Bengaluru was besieged by the British East India Company. The British captured the Pete on the 7th of March 1791 and later captured the fort on the 21st of March 1791. It was after the siege the British drew detailed maps of Bengaluru, complete with little details like the gates, roads, places of worship, and of course their battle strategies. Using these maps, meticulously drawn by the British cartographers, along with satellite images, we begin to uncover the remnants of the Bengaluru Pete and the Bengaluru Fort. This, along with the letters written by the soldiers and accounts of travelers who recorded what they saw, we get an idea of what life was like in Bengaluru. Today, as we walk down these narrow streets of the Pete or the fort, the echoes of the past are everywhere, waiting to be rediscovered. Coming up in this series, We will start by tracing the walls of the Bengaluru Pete, then go shopping at the various petes, explore the Oval Fort, and relive the bloody battle fought right here in Namma Bengaluru.